Did you know that scientists can predict with 90% accuracy whether a couple will stay together or whether they will split after just 3 minutes of observing them? This statistic is included in the best romantic relationship book I have ever read. This is Fight Right: How Successful Couples Turn Conflict into Connection. This book is actually written by a married couple, Dr. Julie Schwartz-Gottman and Dr. John Gottman. And without any exaggeration, this book completely changed the way how I view conflicts and also relationships. Like a lot of people, I believe that when people fight, it means that the relationship is probably doomed. After reading this book, I realized that it's not really about whether we fight or not. It's the way how we fight. And that's what I want to tell you about today, because this book was just amazing. One of the biggest myths that this book busted for me was that every single conflict can be resolved. But in reality, 69% of all conflicts we have within a relationship are unsolvable. And what that means is that it's not about finding solution or fixing something. It's about a deeper understanding between the partners. It means understanding each other's values, beliefs, dreams, emotional needs. But this left me with a very obvious question. If I'm not supposed to solve the problem, what am I supposed to do then? I don't know about you, but I love those kind of classifications in book where you are kind of part of a certain group. And in this book, there was something like that as well. According to the authors, healthy couples tend to fall into one of those 3 conflict styles. The first one is avoidant, people who really don't like conflict. Some people avoid it completely, which can lead to loneliness and kind of like an emotional distance between the partners. Others express their feelings, they see the differences between one another, but they are not really trying to change their partner. The second type is validating, where couples are not really scared to disagree. Typical characteristics for those kind of couples are that they are trying to resolve the conflict in a calm way, rational, they don't raise voices, and their challenge is to make room for emotions. And I would say that personally I fall into this validating category, which was very interesting for me. And then there are volatile couples. They fight with passion, they raise voices, it's a lot of energy, a lot of drama. But what is the difference between them and some kind of unhealthy dynamic is that they have a lot of positivity and humor within the fight. In the book, there was written that there is no best conflict style. But what is very important is to keep the positive interaction within the conflict high. And just like the statistic from the beginning, this number so blew my mind. And I consider this part of the book the most important. This is what I really brought away from reading this amazing book. And this statistic says that healthy couples maintain 5-to-1 ratio. What is that? It means to have 5 positive interactions for every single 1 negative during conflict. But outside of the conflict, it's 20-to-1. So for every single 1 negative interaction that you had together, you have to have 20 positive ones outside of conflict. So what can be this positive interaction? It can be a smile, a hug, reassurance, nod, apology that is meant. So don't forget to count next time you're gonna be fighting. No, just kidding. There are actually some questions that can test whether you are keeping the good ratio or whether you could improve something. Do you feel listened to? Do you feel understood? At some point during the conflict, do you feel relief? If you answered yes to all of those questions, then your ratio is probably healthy. Another great idea that I'm gonna be bringing away from reading this book is that there's something like a relationship bank account. If your relationship bank account is full of coins, then you're, for example, looking forward to spend time together, you understand one another, you feel listened to, you feel supported, you feel like there's this very strong sense of we, you understand and you know about what is going on in each other's life. And obviously, the question is, how do you add some coins into this bank account? A site, a comment, a small attempt to connect. All those are bits for connection. And when those are used, the second partner can respond in multiple different ways. You can turn towards, you can turn away, or you can turn against. And here's yet another crazy number from this book that was just full of crazy numbers. Guess how many times, how many percent healthy, happily married couples turn towards one another when they are bits for connections, right? 86%. And what is the difference between troubled couples? How often do they turn towards? Just 33%. So there's a massive, massive gap between healthy and troubled relationship. So if you feel like you don't have that many coins in your relationship bank account, then bits for connections could be your answer. Back to the statistic from the beginning of the video. 96% of time how conflicts start will also determine how conflict will end. And this start even predicts how the relationship will evolve in the next 6 years. And with the 90% accuracy from the beginning of the video, scientists can tell whether a couple will stay together or whether they will split. If the first 3 minutes of conflict are not ideal for the health of your relationship, it's called a harsh startup. There's a lot of blaming, pointing fingers, generalizing, taking things from the past that you thought about, pointing out flaws in your partner, and we know how it goes. Emotions go up and escalation is just inevitable. If you would like to do a little bit softer startup, then you can say something in a sense like, I feel this, the problem is this, and what I need is this. Apart from harsh startup, there are also 4 behaviors that can lead to a relationship breakdown. It's the 4 horsemen: criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. Those 4 were mentioned all over the book, and I'm not gonna go to detail here because I really recommend to you to read the book because it was just amazing. However, what I would like to talk about here to at least help you eliminate the 4 horsemen as much as possible is something called flooding. The conflict escalates and you feel flooded. Your nervous system takes over. Your logic is out of the game and you literally cannot process no information. Some people are more prone to flooding than others, and that is completely okay. But what is very important is that the moment when you start feeling flooded, you need to take a break. It is very important that when you feel flooded, you communicate the need to take a break with your partner. Then you take a break for at least 20 minutes because then the stress hormones are being metabolized by your body. And what is also very important is not to use those 20 minutes for plotting your next moves. It's really the time you take for yourself to calm down, because the goal here is to calm your body, not to win the fight. By calming down when flooded, you can lower the possibility that you will say something that you will regret later on, or that you will use one of the 4 horsemen. And here is the final takeaway. Don't try to solve the conflict, try to solve the moment. Conflicts between partners exist because of their differences, different values, different dreams, different beliefs. And we should not look at conflicts like a win-lose kind of situation, but as an opportunity to better understand one another. Why do we think the way we do? Why do we feel the way we do? Why did we do something? You have the opportunity to get to know your partner much better. What I took from this book is that it's about strengthening the sense of we-ness, the teamwork. You can do that by trying to find a common ground during the conflict. What do we agree on? What dreams do we share? And then finding out each other's points of inflexibilities. What cannot I compromise on? And that is why it's not about whether we fight or not, but how we fight. The thing that I also really loved about this book is that it had a lot of stories from real life people, and then those stories were combined with data from decades of research. There are so far just 2 books that I would truly consider to be God tier books. The first one is this one, Fight Right. The second one, Atomic Habits. Those 2 books, they are the building blocks of better life. And I would really recommend this book to anyone, because I cannot simply imagine anyone who would not benefit at least a little bit from reading the book. I hope you enjoyed this summary. Have a lovely day and see you in the next one. Bye!